Good morning, everybody. This is Paul Damon, Nicaragua Real Estate Team, and today I'm here in Granada, and the topic I want to touch base on today is about land purchases here in Nicaragua. I'm going to start by saying the following. There's a lot of discussions on different sites like YouTube, including Facebook, etc. I want to go into a little bit more detail, and those that want to buy land here, I'm going to discuss what I found out after talking to two attorneys, as well as from our past experience dealing with land purchases here in Nicaragua. So I'm going to be looking over my notes just to be 100% sure what I'm giving you is 100%, well, 99% correct. Okay? So the first thing to do is when you go look at land is you need to have a spreadsheet, okay? Because remember, the difference between land and a house, for example, your memory will serve you pretty good when you're looking at houses. But I would still recommend to do the same thing, what I'm going to suggest here for land, that you do the same thing when you're looking to another type of a property when you purchase, like land, commercial buildings, retail, you name it, okay? So the reason I'm going to tell you this is to help you focus on those things that are important to you, as well as to look at the specific characteristics of a property when you go walk it, look at it, so that when you're comparing notes, you can say, I like this one more than the other one, but then you can go over the list to make sure that your memory serves you right, okay? So, first thing is to write on a spreadsheet the following data points that you need. Is the address, does it have access? So access to the main road or the secondary road. What is the quality of that access? What is the size? Is it the size by topography or survey, or is it the legal size in the escritura, in the legal documents, okay? Does it have electric power? Does it have water? Does it have a pozo, which is a well? Does it have a waterway going through it, like a river, okay? What, does it have a perimeter wall around it? Like I said, does it have access to a principal street? Does it have a arroyo? The arroyo is a natural waterway that can go through your property. If it has an arroyo, you need to be aware that you cannot change the waterway, because that is natural, so you cannot change that. What about electric wires overhead? What are the type of improvements? What is the price? And what is the zoning, okay? And what I would put right after that is what did you see on this property that you liked, and what did you not like? And the views, that's one thing I would add to it, okay? So now with these data points, you can go out and start writing, hey, this price of this property is this much, the price per square foot, per square meter is this much, location-wise, what is around that location, can I build on it, okay? So the next point to start looking at is, did I walk all the perimeter? Did I walk the whole property? Because it's very, very important. If you don't walk the whole property, you will miss, for example, one of the things that we missed is when we looked at several properties is what is on the side of each property. Is there a matadero, which is a slaughterhouse? Is there raising of pigs next door? Is there a property that has a lot of kids and therefore noise? I mean, you know, or for example, one of our clients just bought a property and that is approximately 4 kilometers away from a discotheque. Nobody knew that that discotheque was that noisy. So another recommendation we provide you, walk the property or go to the property at different points of time, not only during the day, but also at night. What happens? Can you hear the noise? Is that going to make it difficult for you to sleep? Okay? Number two, is the property landlocked? For example, if you have a property and a B property above it, let's say that A is going to dismember the property of B or to a B lot, you need to know if A is going to give you pass-through. Is pass-through being given legally? And if not, you've got to make sure that when you buy that property, a pass-through is given to you for the life of that property that you own, as well as when it passes it to another buyer, okay? And you need to know how long was this excess. So let's say A, B was dismembered and you're going to buy B. When was this excess granted? And is it inscribed? And does the alcaldía or catastro show this as a pass-through place, okay? So at times this can cause a lot of problems. Again, here's a case of a buyer buying some land, and none of us knew that the pass-through that the seller was talking about was really not an inscribed pass-through. Now the buyers are trying to close that up, and of course the people that are using that pass-through are unhappy. However, they don't realize that there are two additional passageway out and into their land, okay? So you got to make sure that you walk the property, check the property out in detail before you make a purchase, okay? Zoning is important. Maybe it seems not so important here in Nicaragua, but you need to check with Catastro. Can you build a piece of property there specifically within zoning? And you can find those zoning regulations at the alcaldía or at Catastro. Okay, you can find that. The other thing you need to find out is it in the floodplain? Before I started doing this video, I didn't know, maybe some of you do, but I didn't know that Catastro does have a floodplain map for all the different areas here in Nicaragua. I will link the floodplain mapping available so you could find out if during the rains, if this property is going to be underwater. No use to have a property that's going to be underwater, correct? Okay, like I said, you need to walk the property, have boots on, do it in all types of weather. I would not really recommend that you buy a piece of property during the dry season, because during the dry season, what are you going to find out? Not much, okay? Also, find out if there's a survey. Does there exist a survey of the property? Then walk the property with survey in hand to make sure that all the corners are identified. If none is available and it's an old survey, you might want to invest, depending on the price, you might want to invest some money to do a survey prior to the purchase. Mineral rights, okay? Mineral rights is kind of different here, but I would make sure that when you buy a property that you discuss that all the trees that you see here on this property will be purchased and transfer those rights to me, so that you are not inconvenienced that the seller starts cutting trees down prior to you purchasing this property. It might take 3 months, and in that 3 months he can cut, or she might cut, all of the property down, okay? Then the other thing you need to check out is the rights of, let's say they are growing rice or beans, etc. You might need to negotiate and say that comes with me, or that stays and transfers to you until, even during the transfer and the purchase, but you can harvest those products, or I harvest the product. So again, in the purchase agreement, you need to specify specifically who has the rights to that product. Now, if that product, the land is being leased and the farmer has that product, the rice or the beans or whatever he's growing, then you need to be specific and protect yourself that it doesn't say that he also has the right to the next harvest, okay? So make sure that you see those leases, have an attorney check it out so you do not run into any problem, okay? So we talked about, we checked that the property, that the seller cannot cut the trees while you're buying it, and also check the land leases. It's very important. In one of the deals that we just closed, there was a property that during the historical review of that property, we found out that there was a rental lease in the historical of the property. Now, it already had transferred twice during the previous owners, and what we did is we canceled the lease. Why? The reason being that that person who had that lease could always come back and say, you know what, I have a registered lease and I want to lease this property for 6 months. You have to provide that, allow that, even though it was, let's say, 3 years old, 6 years old. So looking at the historical of the property is paramount to you. You have to check it out. Have your attorney check it out before any money, final money is handed over, okay? Then can you subdivide, okay, the property? So, for example, there are several developers in Granada that have lots of land, and they basically allow you to buy, let's say, 1 manzana at a time, but they will not allow you to subdivide. So read again, because you might say, you know, 1 manzana I don't need, but I can build 2 houses, and I'm going to have that for my mother and one for ourselves. But it might not be legally available. So check that out. Check the documents. It's all in the historical and in all the agreements that you are going to sign. Very important, okay? And there's a final note, when you're on that land, do you have sewage? Does the cell phone work? As well as internet. So while you're walking these properties, check your cell phone. See if the internet is available. Call Claro, call their various service providers and ask them, I've been on this piece of land, I really want to buy it. Do you provide access to that property? Well, guys and ladies, thank you for watching this video on how to buy and how to protect yourself while buying land here in Nicaragua. Thank you.